And I think before we leave this, we should probably talk about how the Internet of Things plays into all of that. How do we put the things into the control plane in a reasonable way?
The Internet of Things, I know you have a big theme at this conference. You're talking about it in many different ways. But to me, there are at least three big factors. One is the endpoint itself. If it is going to run general purpose compute, then you have to really have a good operating system that's manageable, that is secure. You can set policy on it. Because all of us now are faced with intrusions in our network, and you trace those intrusions in the network, where do they come from? They don't really come from the places where you suspect them they're coming from. They're coming from now, quote unquote, things like the HVAC system. Mm-hmm. And so therefore, you have to be very, very mindful about what is it that you have running on the edge. And that's where I feel Windows is a fantastic operating system to run on the edge. Then you say, OK, that's great. It's running on the edge. But we know what's running on the edge is connected. So how do you propel a lot of the data, the exhaust, from the edge to the cloud? How do we make sense of it? How do we streams process it? So we have a service in Azure called the Azure Intelligence System Service, which really helps you take all the data, by the way, from a Windows endpoint or a Linux endpoint onto Azure. And then we have another service, which I'm really excited about, called the Azure Machine Learning Service, which is the predictive analytics service. ThyssenKrupp, which is the elevator company out of Germany, built this thing where they have 1 million elevators. They have an Azure service now, which manages, monitors all of these million elevators across the globe, so they know which elevator is in a hospital or in a conference center or a stadium, and in real time. And they have differentiated predictive maintenance contracts with each one of them. Because the business model in the Internet of Things, which I think is as interesting, is people are going from gross margin on the hardware to the service. And what really enables you to differentiate your service is your ability to really mine the data and write service contracts which are different. And that's what we want to do. So the two services in Azure plus Windows is really our IoT strategy.
Okay.